Day 2 of our Magnesium 30-day challenge, and I am really glad that we don't have to do every single day. And I'm really glad you and I are hanging out right now because I probably would have missed today. It's been that kind of day. So remember, imperfect action will help you achieve optimal health. Why are we doing a 30-day soaking challenge in August? Simple, because, well, I'll tell you why I want to, because I want strong vitamin D levels going into the winter. Living seasonally means that your vitamin D is going to drop a little bit in the winter. And studies show, because remember, I'm not a doctor, I'm not diagnosing, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just sharing what's made a difference for me and my body that struggled with autoimmune, struggles with depression and post-traumatic stress, and not having an immune system that's evened out from some things that happened as a young girl. So that high vitamin D aggravates everything. And low vitamin D aggravates everything. We want high vitamin D levels. And August is the month to do that. Now, it's not the most convenient month, but it's an important month to create time so that you're making sure that your immune system is strong. We know that low vitamin D aggravates depression. We know that low vitamin D means that you're not absorbing calcium. Now, calcium is not the only nutrient that you need for strong bones, but magnesium and calcium work together. And most of us are calcium dominant and magnesium deficient. And to create that strong immune system that can fight off virus and bacteria and stay healthy, we need strong vitamin D levels. And to get strong vitamin D levels, there's a couple things that we know help and boost those vitamin D levels. And that is magnesium. If you are low in vitamin D, you know you have a magnesium issue, because magnesium, think of it like the spark plug for your car. And you can have gas, you can have a car ready to go, but if you have no spark plug, nothing is going to happen. Magnesium is the spark plug for vitamin D. And we have stored vitamin D and we have active vitamin D. And when we take synthetic pills of vitamin D, we can only activate stored vitamin D. And when stored vitamin D gets out of sync with active vitamin D, and we have more stored than we have active, we've got some issues happening. There are issues happening. Oh, 28 to 35. Oh my goodness. I would be taking some research. I would go get studies from his own community and take him research that show that 28 to 35 are not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. That's just, like, we know problems happen. My girls are going crazy with Marco Polo. I'm shutting down my phone. Yeah, not acceptable at all. And so it's so important, I think, that relationship that we build with our doctor. And one of the shifts that I made after I had my health crash, after a failed surgery 20 years ago, when I really started to take responsibility and accountability for my health, was that I realized I needed to take more responsibility instead of going into the doctor and laying everything on him. And please note, I'm not saying that you're doing that. I find a doctor that listens to me, that is willing, if I've got some research that I've found that's valid, credible research, that he or she is willing to look at that with me to make a decision that is best for my body. I am so fortunate. I finally found one in my area that's a really good fit. And I want my vitamin D levels run more often then once a year. Now, my insurance isn't paying for that anymore, but my doctor's willing to order that test and run it for me. And some of them I go online and by myself. But study after study after study after study show that that is not even up to par, those numbers. And we want our active higher than our stored. And the problem with slamming all of that synthetic vitamin D is it can only move the stored. It can't move the active. So we need a combination of things happening in that we need to get sunshine. The OG of vitamin D is that beautiful sunshine. And we need to have enough magnesium to activate, to have the enzymes to activate that stored vitamin D, to turn it into active vitamin D. Brittle bones, depression, there are immune system. There are so many things that vitamin D activates. In fact, I find it so interesting. For years, I wanted to really focus on my gut and gut health. And I did all of these protocols. And I wasted so much money doing these protocols to heal my gut because I was missing the first foundational step. And that is high, strong vitamin D levels. The vitamin D actually plugs and helps seal your gut to give you better gut function and a better gut biome. And we know that a strong gut biome is everything to how we think, how we process. It's where serotonin is created and neurotransmitters, and it's so important. And so I miss that whole part, that how important vitamin D is. And so I would love to see you. And here's a thought: to go pull some research and print it and take it to him and highlight where it says that that is subpar clinical levels, that his own studies in his community are saying are not acceptable. And that's why we're doing the 30-day magnesium challenge in August. Most people have access to sunshine. Now, if you don't have access to sunshine, and I'm not sure if you do, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, Diana. Um, if you don't have access to sunshine, there are lights that you can use that will help activate it. But remember, nothing is as powerful and safe as the sun. Now, how much time you spend in the sun is determined by how you eat. The more sugar that you eat, the more rancid oils that you eat, the more carbs that you eat, the more processed foods that you eat, the more problems happen as you're out in the sun. And so how you eat determines how your body creates melanin, that color in your skin that protects you from those rays. And so nobody can say, oh, you go spend this much time in the sun, because there are so many things that need to be taken and factored into what is an appropriate, safe time for you to spend in the sun. So the 30-day challenge on day 2, we are just focused on creating space and creating accountability to give our bodies the magnesium that it needs to get to cell saturation, which is 6.3 or above, so that we have a foundation of optimal health. And we soak in magnesium a minimum of 20 minutes, maximum of 45 minutes to get optimal results. Doesn't matter if we soak in the tub or if we soak in a bowl of water. Both are equally efficient because it's your feet that uptake the pumping of magnesium through your lymph. We want to make sure we're not soaking in plastic. And this 30-day challenge is one of the most important things that I have personally done to take my health back, to make sure that I have strong vitamin D levels. I was just reading some new research. I have celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disorder, and low vitamin D sets you up for immune issues. And so the older we get, the harder it is to convert that vitamin D. And so making sure that we have adequate levels of magnesium becomes absolutely paramount in building a strong foundation. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not telling you what to do. You need to make those decisions for yourself and filter that through what is right for you. I do want to talk and have conversations about what's working for people as we all focus as a world, as a society, as a country with what's happened in the last 2 years, as we focus on really making sure that our bodies are healthy, that we can fight virus, that we can fight bacteria, that we can stay with a strong immune system through the winter when our vitamin D levels are supposed to naturally drop. But if you're at a 25, 35, 40 in the summer, in the wintertime, the chances of you dropping to severely low vitamin D levels, your risk goes up. And so making sure that we're going into the winter strong became something that I do seasonally. I have found, and the people that I see that are the healthiest live in a seasonal kind of way. They eat seasonally. They do things seasonally to help their body and support their body. And so, one of the things that we do here at Living the Good Life Naturally is a soaking challenge in August. And sometimes it's not the most convenient. In fact, you'll notice that I'm doing my soaking. I'm soaking right now. My feet are in water at a little bit later than I usually do. And there will be some days that you miss, and that's okay. I want to say this over and over. You're going to hear it 1,000 times through this challenge. Imperfect action creates health. And that's what we're doing here is we are giving our body the building blocks to create optimal health. And so now I am headed to bed because optimal health requires optimal sleep. And so I should be headed to bed. But remember, the 30-day challenge every day in August, our goal is to soak, recognizing we're going to miss a couple days. We use a quarter of a cup for adults, an eighth of a cup for kids. You need 2 bottles of the 32-ounce magnesium, and that will get you through the entire challenge with 2 soaks extra. And the goal is magnesium cell saturation, which is 6.3 or above on a magnesium red blood cell test. Magnesium red blood cell test. So glad that you're here. So glad that you're joining me. Leave your comment. Have you started? Are you starting on a certain day? Some people are joining us on the 15th. Some people are waiting until the end of the month. It's up to you and what works well for you. So please don't think, oh my gosh, I'm behind. I haven't started yet. You are golden. You are golden. Pick a date, what will work for you, and let's soak in magnesium together. I'm so excited.